Are you looking to pursue a career in detailing and looking for a mentor and trainer? Get in contact with us. We'll see how we can help you. What customers do you want to deal with? Not deal with, sorry. What customers do you want to work with?
Yeah.
Right? Because there's it's like an undefined line, but eventually you kind of get to see like what customers you're willing to work with, you know, and you start seeing that undefined line. You start seeing like, you know what, I don't really like this customer base right here.
Yeah.
So you know what, let me stay away from that, or not intentionally try to stay away from them, but just make sure that when you have that customer in front of you, because I've told you also that when you have a customer that's just, they already have an intention. That's what I'm gonna say. They already have an intention, and those are the customers that you have to be very, very careful with. Meaning that you gotta take pictures of everything, you gotta over communicate, you gotta just make sure you're on the same page. As soon as you feel that you're not on the same page, then you gotta yourself say, hey, is this worth it or not worth it?
Remember that incident that I called? It was like, when was it? A couple months ago. That incident that I had. I got a call from this customer, and
Oh yeah,
they had the liquid
yeah,
on the
yeah.
on their hood.
And then you agreed on a price.
We agreed on the price. We did what we told the customer we was gonna do. We was talking to the actual owner of the vehicle, but I spoke to the father. I told the owner of the vehicle, these are the steps that we're gonna do to if you want to remove this on your car. Gave me the green light, did everything, told her the cost, everything, have everything on file. We did it. She was ecstatic with the results. Then it's time to pay. They arguing with me to pay me what the work,
Well,
and it was like,
if
was
I
crazy.
remember the story correctly, I think there was you dealt with one person, and then the owner of the actual car was another person, and then you had to make some alterations, meaning
Yes.
like there was some additional things that you needed to do
Yes.
that wasn't agreed on with the person that you were on the
On the
phone
phone
with
with.
originally. And so even though the owner of the car was happy, maybe the other person was supposed to pay.
Wasn't.
So, they didn't agree to the actual
Yeah.
price. And that has happened to me before too. I had a similar situation. I mean, I've had multiple of those, but one specific one that I had, on a very expensive car. Um, the owner of the car didn't even accept delivery of the car. It was the brother that accepted delivery of the car.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that. I think I was there that day.
And so the owner wasn't even here, right? Like, he had just gotten the car. It was an expensive car, and the owner wasn't even here. So what I had agreed on with the owner became completely different the day that they brought me the car, and then now this other person involved was telling me, oh, can you add this? Can you add that? Can you do this? Can you do that? So, long story short, we were done with the job. The job took longer than expected because, there was additional things added on to that I really wasn't an expert at. I wasn't experienced in, but I said, you know what? I'll attempt it. And I was honest with the customer, like, hey, listen, I am not an expert at that, but if you want me to try it, I'll do it, The car was done, I thought it came out pretty good, but, I'm not an expert at it, so I can't say it was 100%, but I'd say it was about 90%, So the brother wasn't like the third person. He's like, oh, I don't know, I could have brought it to where I brought my car, like, and I'm like, first of all, this wasn't when we agreed on, you know what I'm saying? So
These are
and this is how, going back to the thing about money that you was talking about. I'm the type of person that I'm not gonna argue with you about money. You know, as long as I get my money back for whatever. If I spend money on material or something like that, like just give me my money for my material. I don't even want money for the labor. You're not happy with it? No problem. I've had multiple situations like that. And what did I tell you to do with that customer that you told me? I said, you know what, bro?
Just let it be.
Let it be.
Let it be.
Just tell them this is what I want. This is what it is. And if you don't want to pay for it, I told you, I brought I brought religion into it, you know. I said, hey, there's a higher power.
And
If
it
they're
is
really
true.
trying to screw you over, guess what, son? You know,
Yeah,
it will
that's
handle
it.
itself.
That's it.
You know, and then you move on to the next thing. Kind of the same thing like with an employee. Like you're dealing with this situation, and you know what? Guess what? It's all about figuring out the next step, the next step, and the next step. Because the bad things are gonna happen no matter how perfect you try to be. You know.
But that's like
And that's life. That's
life.
not even business. That's just life.
Yeah, that is true. That's
Yeah.
true. But it is what it is. I let that person be, and you know, can't fight for money.
you
It's
can't.
not.
It's
I
not
know I
worth
did a
it.
great job. The owner of the car was happy with the results of the car. That's all that matters. I don't care. The money's gonna always be there. Like I
Yeah.
say, it is what it is.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. Why?
worth it.
Why?
So let's move on, but that was perfect. Like that's one of the main things that again we talked about. So I wanted to make sure we got that out there because I think everybody always talks
The good
all
about
the good, but
about business.
But the business is not easy, man. And so I think that
Stressful.
sometimes shedding the light to people, everybody a lot more people want to be their own boss, and that's fine. Some people are built for it, some people are not, and so you know. I think it's always good to shed, you know, those experiences, you know. So the next question is, pretty quickly we could talk about this. We talked about different chemicals, right? So what is your go-to chemical right now?
Right now,
Yeah.
I'm in love with. I'm gonna say, so talking about that, when I first started, you put me onto some chemicals. It was like Automagic stuff like that, and it was cool. But you always told me from the beginning, you don't have to do these chemicals. This is what works for me. It might not work for you. So I had this one client that moved from Washington D.C. out to Boston, has I think a BMW competition, and asked me for a special type of product. I didn't have it at the time. And I was like, no, I don't carry that right now. I could get it for just your vehicle. Accommodate, you know, that's customer service. Try to please the customer. Cool, let's do it. Did it. Used that chemical just for that client. But then I seen that I didn't like that chemical as well for my regular use, like for all my day-to-day clients. So I got introduced to Coach Chemi. Yes, it's expensive. It's a little bit expensive, but I feel like the best results.
You love it.
I love it. I love that chemical. I feel like that's the best product out there right now. That works for me. It might not work for others, but it works for me great. And clients, it's crazy because some high-end clients, they know about chemicals. And they ask me all the time, like, hey, what chemicals are you using? I tell them Coach Chemi. They always say, oh, that's a great chemical. I seen it. It's pretty pricey. I'm like, yes, this is. So I feel like I go back into quality. Big in quality, you know. So I'm big in quality. So I try to give out the best of the best. Well, every chemical is good because the other chemicals, I feel like it's the same for the most part. For the most part,
they just different names.
Different names.
That was another thing we talked about. They're just different names, different color, same product.
Yeah.
You know. But now that we're in the industry, I think
You
you're
know
starting
that.
to understand that there's even chemicals out there that we talked about that says, oh, this thing only works on, you know, for glass, and this only works for on plastic, and this one. But you'll realize that there's a lot of chemicals that you can actually use for the same purpose, you know. And you learn that because before I would be that type of person that I would buy specific chemicals for specific things, and then you realize like, nah, you don't have to do that. There's certain things, like I told you when I first started, I used to take the seats out of everybody's car, like to clean it, even though the car didn't really need it.
Yeah.
But it was just a thing that I didn't know, and you know, I still do
learn-
it, but I charge for it.
Of course,
You know,
of course.
Because there's labor involved in that, and there's just a different process. But yeah, I mean, it's good. Thank you for touching up on the chemicals, because your customers end up coming back to you based off of
Chemicals.
how
And
the vehicle looks. Obviously,
the
the
results.
detailing work, but the chemicals also play a big part,
For sure.
because
For sure.
you can't get certain results sometimes without a specific chemical.
Yeah.
That's good, and I'm glad that also has, from what I told you, this is what I use, but I'm glad you've kind of like
Yeah.
what chemicals you're using. I'm happy that you have found that
works,
chemical,
it works.
that it works for you.
I even come to your shop and I'm like, yo, look at this new chemical. Look at this.
Yeah, and I like that because again,
Put you out to, like, yo, look.
You've
been in the business for 10 years, so you already got it down pat.
No. What I like about you coming to me and showing me a chemical is that at least I can try it.
Yeah.
And then you actually told me I like it.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool. Maybe next time I buy something, instead of buying what I have, I try something else. Because what happens is when you don't, somebody selling you the product, they're gonna all automatically tell you this is the best one because blah 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 blah. They're selling it to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus somebody with experience, you've been using it, you're in the industry, you're not here trying to sell me anything. You're gonna give me your honest opinion about it.
Sure.
So I rather that approach and change the sign versus buying it, not liking it, and then money down the drain. I
got a lot of chemicals at my house that are just sitting there because I thought I was gonna like it, and I don't like the results.
And I thought that was gonna happen. Like I would, and that's a learning experience too. I say, just whatever you like, stick with that. And then until somebody else recommends something or something new, just stick to it. Because you're gonna end up spending more money than you need to. So let's move on from that. We're not getting paid from Coach Kemi. Like, we're not sponsored yet. So
they should sponsor though. They should sponsor. Hey, if you want to sponsor, just Glacier's Touch.
Yeah.
Shoot me an email, please.
Let me be nice, right?
I'll make sure I get them on too.
Yeah, he's trying to get me on. He's letting me show your products, so
I need a 50%.
Yeah, there you go. See,
that's it. That's how you get on.
All right, so chemicals, we talked about that. All right, now let's talk a little bit. So when we first started, we talked about what your favorite thing about the business has been, or like what you've liked about it. Now let's talk about what you do not like about your what you're doing.
What I do not like. First of all, I do not like this weather. Yo, it's cold out there. It's cold out there. Mobile is cold. It's cold. You gotta layer up. You gotta prepare yourself. You gotta be mentally and physically prepared for that cold. Like when you're touching that water, bro, my hands, I can't feel my hands. It feels like it's swollen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, anything little bang hurts. I'm like, shit, why?
It's
So that's one thing I don't like the water. Like, I wish I could stay like, I was saying the 50s. Because when it's too hot, it's hot too.
Yeah.
So it's still, like, I wish I could stay like around the 50, 60. But the weather,
it's tough,
bro.
because like when it's like really busy, especially, just detailing in general, is typically when it's warm out, when it's hot, right? So you're either dealing with the cold, or the hot. Super hot. And then the best times is like fall, early fall, and then spring, So yeah, I can see that.
I love that, and that type of time. But
what other
the
things?
weather. The other thing I don't like about, let's say, when you have to argue with clients, we spoke about that. Like that's something I refuse to do. Like I don't like that. I just let it be. I'm not gonna get a heart attack or high blood pressure. I'm like, nah. You won, bro. You got it. You got it. I know what your intention was. You wanted a free detail. You got it. You got it. It is what it is. You won't see me around again.
Yeah. Don't make it seem like You know, like you're just gonna accept it all the time.
I'm not
you know?
accepting that, but I can read your body language already. I already know who those people are. So if I see it from a mile away, I'm just not gonna do business with you.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Not like
So they
I
better
said,
be a good actor.
yeah. Not like I said, nobody's your client, so it is what it is. What else do I don't? Bro, I really love this.
That's
Honestly,
good.
you know, I don't have too much that I
That's good.
dislike about this. Just the weather and just going back and forth with clients. That was only one incident that I had within the year, so it's not bad. That only happened to me once, but that's about
good.
it.
That's actually
you know.
that's really good. That means that you're.
What don't you like about the business? But you got a different type of view
So it's
because
different.
you got a shop.
So when I did I'll go back to the mobile because I started as a mobile
Yeah.
service. So when I started the mobile, definitely the weather was one.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing that I didn't like, the weather was like probably the
Bro.
main thing. I'm not gonna lie to you because, I was always trying to figure out like, you know, how I was gonna work or get through that. You
It
know,
was crazy because
I'll be all burnt in the
Yeah, I know.
summertime,
I know.
and then I'll be, not knowing where I was gonna do
During the winter.
like I guess at the time maybe I just wasn't thinking about it this way on the marketing side, but there's ways to get around it. That's actually we talked about that. In the wintertime, like if you start focusing your business more on, like if you're doing mobile, for example, dealing with customers or the customers that you're trying to get more on the like commercial side, right? Like that. Let's just say events. You know, there's auto shows, there's boat shows. There's things even outside the state that sometimes they're looking for detailers to come and, just keep the vehicles, maintained
Yeah.
while the show's going on. Stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe.